Welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm Alex Rudy, and each week you will meet incredible artists from all walks of life. Filmmakers, writers, actors, painters, musicians, and so many more, sharing their stories to motivate and inspire the creative in you. Whether you're doing it for fun or looking to make a living, this show will help you on your journey to bring out the artist within and letting the world know that your art matters. Hey everyone, welcome to The Artist Matters. I'm your host, Alex Rudy, and happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody. Hope you're enjoying the day, and I know for many it is a day off because it is a national holiday. But I also hope at the same time you're reflecting and remembering the man and his legacy, Martin Luther King Jr. His message, his belief, and the impact he had on this world still echoes to this day. We can learn something from that. Listen to that speech. It gives you chills. Thank you for all you did, Martin Luther King Jr. Wish you could have stayed on the planet a little longer, but the impact you had when you were here did make a difference. Moving right along, this past week I got to see one of our previous guests, Keith Surplus, in the play Shrek, the musical. It was at Stage West in Spring Hill, Florida. I had to go see it because he had the role of Lord Farquaad. I could not pass up the opportunity to see him in that role, and I knew he would do such a great job, and he did. He was so entertaining. It's such a wild role to play on stage because you're on your knees, essentially. He had to be on his knees, and he had a lot of padding, and they made these little legs that went to the floor. He was so good and entertaining. One of the best roles I've seen him in. You can check out pictures of us with Keith and some pictures of the show. I did take some snapshots of the show when it was going on, when he was on stage, on my Instagram page. Always great to see a previous guest do his thing and be in his element. I know I'm itching to get back to the stage somehow. It'll happen. It'll happen. Remember, this is the year I want more time and freedom. So I'm working on that, folks. Working on that. And I, of course, had to make time for today's guest. Remember last year when I posted on the Don't Keep Your Day Job Facebook group page requesting people to be on my show, and I got swarmed with many creatives wanting to share their story with me. And one of them, it took a while. I've been pursuing her here and there because I know she has a great story. And that brings us to today's guest, who is musician, singer, Lisa Sigurgeirson Maxx. And for the rest of this time, I'll just call her Lisa Maxx because that last name is a lot to pronounce. And I don't want to mess it up. But that's an important part of her because she is of Icelandic origin, and that definitely has an influence on her music. And of course, Lisa will expand on that and tell of how music has been a part of her life. But the main reason I wanted to get her on the show, because back in 1994, she suddenly came down with rheumatoid disease. She prefers it's called disease, not arthritis. She was in her 30s when it hit her. So it's just letting you know it's not just for seniors, older people. It can strike you at any age. Now, unfortunately, this hindered her ability to play the guitar, which she loved. What do you do if you can't play your guitar? She could still sing, but she had to go through a lot of therapy because she was in such pain and it just affected her hands and everything. But this is a testament to her spirit and her perseverance, she found a way to get through this. She found a way to still make music and even play guitar on an iPad. She'll go into that. And she came out with her album during all this called Still Hold True. And I've heard 2 of the songs on it, and they're such catchy songs, but they're really good in their message, and her voice is very rich and mystical. I don't know how else to say it. And you also hear from Lisa about what it was like for her to actually go and perform her music in Iceland. That's pretty cool. But she got to go back to where her roots come from. And you'll hear more about her website, The Singing Amma, and a book she wants to publish called Letters to Sally, and so much more. Okay. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance for something that happens halfway through this interview. For some unknown reason, interview is going great, but at some point, almost the 30-minute mark into our conversation, I had a terrible connection. There was a lot of glitching. It was causing her audio on her end to jump ahead in time, like her sentences were broken up. I don't know how or why that happened, and that's never happened to me in an interview before. I did my best to salvage it and make it something you'll be able to listen to. So please bear with me, and no matter what, I know you're going to like this. I'm telling you, I had to get this musician on this show when I heard about her story. This is one that I know will inspire you, and it definitely inspired me. You can still do your art. You can find a way if you're really committed and you know it's a part of you and your soul, and you have to do it. And that's what you're going to get from Lisa right now. So, without further ado, enjoy this inspirational conversation with Lisa Maxx. Here with Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much.
Finally, we got you on. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's begin at the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Steveston, British Columbia, Canada.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have a creative side as a kid? Was it music?
Oh, yes. Well, I wrote my first song at the age of 9. So I guess yes. Yeah.
You remember
I was on the piano.
Do you remember the song?
I do. It was a 4-line song. I have no idea where it came from. Shall I sing it for you?
Hey, if you're feeling limber, why not? So you remember the song, eh? Go for it.
Yeah, it says, I made a house of hickory bark. It was so fine it was. I made it in the old-time forest. It was so fine it was. I have to leave it now. I'm old. Yes, I have to leave it now. I say goodbye to the old-time forest. I say goodbye, goodbye.
Yeah. Wow. Good one.
I have no idea where a 9-year-old would get that song. It is the weirdest thing.
Just came out of the blue. Great. That's great.
Yeah. But I actually started writing, songs that are more like pop songs when I was 12. So that one was just some little ditty. Mm-hmm.
Did your family have musical influences on you?
Yes. As a child, we would get together, big family get-togethers. I don't know how frequently, but I know a few times a year at least. And there was always music. So there was somebody sitting at the piano. My grandfather played accordion, which I found out when I went to Iceland the first time is kind of a national instrument of theirs. And there was a fiddle player and, singing and lots of harmony. And yeah, so that was happening. And that was mostly my dad's side, my Icelandic side. My mom's Scottish side, and her mom was there with us sometimes. And I only found out more recently that she was quite a singer in her youth as well. So She sang at weddings and funerals apparently, and was quite sought after.
So it was destiny that music was going to rub off on you.
It definitely rubbed off on me, yeah.
So you said father's side is Icelandic.
Mm-hmm.
How has that influenced your music?
How has that influenced my music? Well, I have a number of songs that I've written that pertain to my Icelandic heritage, actually. A few that are on my first album, and a few more. I'm hoping to make an EP this year with more of the Icelandic songs. I'm really involved. There's the Icelandic people in North America. We have the Icelandic National League of North America, and that league has been meeting once a year we're in our 101st year now. And I sang, I think, at the 97th one, which was out here on the West Coast in Vancouver. And actually it was in Richmond, which is my hometown. And I sang there 3 or 4 years ago, and then was asked if I would be able to come and sing in Iceland. So later that summer, I got flown to Iceland to perform for the Icelandic National League that happens in Reykjavik every year. Oh. And so that's very, very exciting because, I'm so very connected to my Icelandic heritage and really love it. I'm actually on the board now of the Icelandic National League of North America, and so it's exciting that the music is playing into that as well, so to speak.
Great. Backpedaling a little, were you doing music in school?
Well, in grade 6, we had a really cool beatnik teacher who taught us to play guitar, acoustic guitar. There was guitars all up around the top of the wall, hanging around the wall. And I remember a really early memory was she asked us to make a drawing, to bring the lyrics of our favorite folk song to school as homework. So the kids were bringing like "Oh Susanna" and "I've Been Working on the Railroad" and your classic kind of old time folk songs. This was in the late 60s, I guess. It would have been in the early 70s. Anyway, I brought "Changes" by Phil Oakes, and she looked at me and she said, "How do you know this song?" And so I grew up with a lot of interesting music at home on the record player as well. But in school, I did some strange schooling. I did a lot of alternative schooling, so there wasn't like band and choir opportunities quite as much. When I was in grade 11, I lived on an alternative high school that was on a remote farm off the grid. And I had my guitar there. I was now by then playing guitar. I was 16 years old, and another girl there and I wrote a lot of songs together that year and got everybody singing. And so we kind of made it happen, right? Rather than being taught, we were the ones doing it. And then in grade 12, I was in a choir, but I was very shy then. And I knew that I could sing, but I would get really nervous, and so when I auditioned for stuff, I would never get the parts. So, and deep inside, I knew that I could have sung it as well, or maybe better. I never got the opportunity, so that was okay.
Just wasn't meant to be.
Not yet, no.
So when you leave school, are you looking to pursue music as a career, or do you keep going on to other schooling?
Well, what I actually did was I worked for a year, and then I traveled in Europe for a year. And I remember being on a train in, I don't know if it was Italy or I think it was Italy, and they were just, or maybe Germany, but anyway, just looking out the train window